Welcome everyone. It's time for Start Deliver webinar. Today we're talking about customer success fueled growth. And we have a great guest. It's Jacco van der Kooij calling in from Silicon Valley. Today's going to be a great day. It's going to be a full packed webinar and we'll share all the material, of course. What we will cover today is basically how customer success is becoming more and more important for any recurring revenue businesses to actually grow. And Jacco is an entrepreneur. He's the founder of Winning by Design, which is one of the fastest growing consultancies in California, working mainly with tech and SaaS companies, helping them grow. So we're really thrilled to have him on board. He's written a lot of books, a lot of great YouTube content on all these critical issues you have to solve in order to get growth going for a recurring revenue business. So the agenda, we'll go through a few different things. We will start off by just looking at why we think customer success is being more and more important. We will go through how you implement customer success, and also where do you go wrong, and how to think about it, and what really is the key thing here for a great customer success organization, customer success concept in your company. We will also end up by discussing a little bit around where are customer success going from here. How is it in this new virtual reality we're living in, where everybody's working remote or more or less? What's the impact of that for customer success? So, but with that, I'm going to start off by welcoming Jacco.
Thank you very much for having me. It is a pleasure and a treat to be here with you today.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot of your books, The Sales Blueprint, and I've been following Winning by Design for several years and working closely with SaaS companies. I think it's great content, great advice. So I'm really thrilled to have you. And now we're going to go into the area of customer success, which is our home turf and something we're really passionate about. So it's going to be exciting talking to you today.
Great. How can I help?
Yes, maybe just to start, before maybe for someone who does not know you, who are you, and what is your background?
Yes, I'm historically born and raised in the Netherlands, in a little farmer's town as the youngest of 8. I grew up in the Philips electronics system, so I went through the universities and got my internships there. And as an engineer, I was responsible for satellite communication. So I historically am an electrical engineer, in focusing in the early days on hardware and later on software.
Awesome. And Winning by Design, you founded that company a few years back. What do you do?
Yeah, and so, like as I worked throughout the world launching satellite and broadcast stations. So in Scandinavia, for example, I work with Telenor, and I work with Terracom and Sveriges SVT, as well as Yele over in Finland. And in these, we launched all these satellite stations. And as I went in there as an engineer, I started to sell. And, like more and more, did I notice early in those early days, I was a sales engineer, that people started listening to me. And it's not that we were selling, they ended up buying from us. So rather than me trying to sell, the customers, and as you may know, Scandinavia is not a country that they are very open to like credible American style sales pitches. And so instead, what I found is that, like if we stop thinking about, like organizations as selling, and instead we think on our customers as buying, and we modify it to a buying behavior, it would better. That is a company I launched in 2012, 2013, and today, second fastest growing in an industry. And, we have all these like great trophies nowadays of how we help successful companies from marketing, sales, and customer success perspective.
And you work a lot with subscription businesses right now, you would say, right?
That's right. We call them recurring revenue. Some of that is subscription, some of that is usage-based. Most of them are you're familiar with SaaS. They are SaaS businesses, but there's other firms too. And anytime that the client is not making a profit on that first deals, but needs ongoing purchases in the futures, it becomes a recurring revenue business.
Yeah. No, and I reached out to you because I read you posted something on LinkedIn that really jumped on me, and I felt hit home. And there was an article or a publication that I think a colleague of yours, Julie, published and you shared, where you basically talk about how in a recurring revenue business there's a shift going from acquisition to retention. And I think that's like really interesting, and I see that trend as well. What are your thoughts there?
So what we are seeing is that historically, the first principles of the business are changing. And what we have noticed, Johan, is that, like when we look at those first principles, that when we look at B2B 10, 20 years ago, the profit was made on the first purchase. Yeah. And that purchase, obviously there were future purchases and so on and so forth, but it was not a big focus on it. So whether you look at sales methodologies, marketing perspective, even the nomenclature, the terminology we use nowadays, right? We close a customer as if it's the end of it. All that is very much focused on an outdated principle. And as you may have seen more over the past years, Elon Musk is very popular talking about the concept called first principles. If you want to solve a problem, you got to dress it down to the basic principles. The basic principles of the business has changed in the recurring revenue model. Yeah. There's 4 variables that allow you to make a profit: the purchase price, the upsell, the churn, and the length of the contract. That creates a formula that compounds. Only one of those metrics is involved in marketing and sales. The remaining 3 are within the hands of customer success, and what we would argue, customer success who has a marketing function to play and a sales function to play. What we start to see is, because these first principles are currently being challenged, but organizations are not adopting to that, that's where we see there's a mismatch between the two.
Yeah. No, I meet a lot of recurring revenue businesses, SaaS companies, and I see this. I see still a lot of founders like holding back on customer success, waiting. No, we don't need it right now. We can postpone it. What do you think is the most? Why do you think customer success sometimes is misunderstood or has low priority?
Yes, it comes from the startup nature. When you are going in startup mode, getting to that first 20 customers is super important. There is no customer success. You need to get the first customer and the second customer. And as you are winning those customers, often subconsciously, founders don't want to keep those customers. They don't. You don't want to keep your first 20 customers. They are often unprofitable. They're often, you have made promises that you can't keep. Those first 20 customers, they're okay to churn. Maybe 2 or 3, often 2 or 3 stand out and will be with you. But out of those 20, most of them, you just want to get, you want to move on from them. Then you get the next 80 customers. You want to win them because you want to gain momentum. Customer success in this case is still an afterthought. You just want to get logos. Now, when you'll see this momentum grow, by the time you are reaching 80 to 120 customers, logos, you're really familiar with the concept win, 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 accelerate, accelerate. And your VCs will reward you for it. You will get recognition for it. Many people will have a logo wall, either virtual, as in on the website, and we have one, so feel free to visit ours on the website, right? You can see, there's the logo wall. It's simply a logo.
We have one too, yeah.
Yeah, logos don't buy. Logos are not customers. If you wanted to represent a good customer list, you would actually have the LinkedIn profile pictures of the people who bought. That would be more reflective of a community and so on. But logos don't buy. At this point in time, they really are, have everything they achieved at that point in time is the result of winning those customers. And so from that, it's really hard to make that shift to a more process-driven and to a more customer-centric approach. That's one. Second thing, Johan, the problem that we have is that culturally deep inside our organization, we don't see customer success, even the title is wrong, as customer success. We see customer success in the end as customer service, responding to complaints. Once we think of customer success as a profit center, Once we start thinking of it, this is the location where profit is being made. And then economically, it starts to take a higher priority. The last one hurts me the most to say is that in most executive teams, the customer success executive is not the person who carries the most weight around. It is not the person who can bang the fist on the table and says, I need that tool, prioritize it. These are often the marketing and sales functions and the engineering functions or the product management function who have that ability. Yeah. Customer success is often the one that is being seen as a cost center. Can we lower the cost? Well, if we reposition it as a profit center and we understand how the profit is created, and we bring on the people with the expertise to make it a profit center and not look at that as a cost, you're going to see that in the recurring revenue model, your company is going to flourish. You're going to get the same focus, maniacal focus that you had in the beginning on winning the first 100 customer, now needs to shift in retain and making a profit from the right customer. Oh. If you do this properly, what you will see, you are learning from your existing customers who are the most profitable, and that will feed back into the marketing and sales function to make sure that more of the right customers are being brought on board. And as you literally see, is as the shifting of the momentum, as you see from left to right, it's the momentum starts to shift from sales, and it starts to shift to a customer success driven function, where there is a marketing function, where there is a sales function, where there's a customer service function, but it's much more than just that.
I fully agree there. I've seen these phases, and I usually see that it's when churn hits, then it's panic, and then the people start looking at it more properly and investing in it and bringing more senior people in, and but that's usually a little bit too late because then you're already hurting, sort of. So when is a good time, or if you want, what's your recommendation to, if you feel you're underinvested here, if you feel you have potential here, what's the steps you take to build a team, to build organization?
Well, like what we first have to do is we have to start seeing that the function starts to split in several sub-functions. So in the beginning, when, like when you start, like, and if, we refer to it as a bow tie on the left side is the acquisition, on the right side is customer growth. What you'll see very quickly, often if you have two founders or multiple founders, is that the first founder focuses on engineering and product management, and the other founder focuses on, like the sales and the marketing and so on and so forth. Pretty soon thereafter, that founder starts to say, hey, I'm bringing on a sales leader and a marketing function, and then starts to, not uncommon, to focus more on customer success. Shortly after, you'll see that the customer success function starts to divvy up. We have an onboarding expert, make sure that the clients get quickly as onboarded. We have to make sure that over the next 12 months, the clients achieve the impact. And then we have to see that there's an upsell, cross-sell. That last one splits out the last. So first you'll see that the onboarding, separates because it's just a good nature and good expertise to brought on board. Yeah. In order to do that, you're going to need somewhere about 40 to 50 clients. So right around 40 to 50 clients if you're having a platform. Yeah. If you're selling an application, in other words, seats, you're probably at about 1,000 seats. Between 1,000 and 2,000, you will start to see that the customer success function is becoming needed. Yeah.
And speaking about that bow tie, I love that concept. It's very straightforward, and you mentioned impact in that one. Impact is the word we like a lot, because I think it's what proper customer success is all about. Tell me, I listened to one of your YouTube videos about it, but I think it's a really great concept.
Yeah, where this comes in from is that what you'll see again as the first principle, our business right now, businesses in B2B and SaaS businesses are completely based on winning new deals. There's a maniacal focus on that. So marketing, in order to win new deals, has to generate leads. Customer success is making sure that they not churn and that they stay happy. But in the end, the pivoting point, the underlying fundamental is winning deals. What we notice is a very new first principle. And once I mention this first principle, I want you to write it down. If you're listening to this or watching this, I want you to write it down and understand. This is the fundamental principle of recurring revenue. Recurring revenue is the result of recurring impact. It's as simple as that. Recurring revenue is the result of recurring impact. No recurring impact, no recurring revenue. If people, they're not going to keep you a monthly fee or an annual fee if they don't get what they came in for. Yeah. That means that in recurring revenue businesses, the fundamental point that the business is based on is achieving with the customer that impact. Yeah. Now, if you think of that, and in the bow tie, like what we were saying is like, hey, the bow tie is a funnel tipped on its side, and then, completed with both sides. No longer is funnel the basic, is a representation of this first principle, because it takes place somewhere else. So as you will see later on in the overlays, you will see that there's on the right side, there's a very good part, and that is, are we getting the customer to first impact, onboarding? Are we getting customer to recurring impact? Is it repeating? And then in the end, if the customer is achieving recurring impact, is there an opportunity to sell more impact? Now, I'm going to try to explain what impact really is, because this is super important. When we are in a sales-centric world, we don't talk about impact, we talk about value. Value is the promise of impact. Value is, hey, I'm offering you this value, but good luck realizing it. Value is when you buy a car to get you to the office, but you still have to buy gasoline and tax. You still have to drive yourself. You have to park. And, in big cities, you got to pay lots for parking. All that still has to happen. So when you are selling, when you're buying a car, the salesperson is selling you the value. Now, there's different kinds of value. There's value like, oh, this car is an electrical car, very good for nature. Or it can be, it's a very, like it's a four-wheel driven car. It can take you into the mountains. It's a very emotional, like kind of value. But they sell you on that, right? Yeah. Impact is looking at that same journey, getting me to the office and say like, look, I can take an Uber or a taxi or a train. And that is based on a subscription I bought. I bought a monthly subscription to the train, or I bought, I'm buying an Uber ride usage, or I'm buying a taxi ride usage. Yeah. And in this case, when you're buying impact, all you do is cab picks you up, Uber picks you up and drops you off. And like you're buying the impact. Yeah. Johan, today we are living in an impact economy. Yeah. All of us are constantly looking to buy impact. We are no longer buying value. Yeah. We are buying impact. In some cases, that is, for example, Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, all these companies are promoting that. But it's also more the share economy is better for the world, because we are sharing expensive resources and investments, and we're sharing it across people. So it's a good thing for human nature to also focus more on an impact-driven approach. Yeah.
And if you constantly deliver impact, I mean, you won't lose a customer if you do that. They will keep staying.
That's right. Now, I don't want to say, I'm not necessarily agreeing with you. You will not lose the right customer. True. Churn is healthy. If you don't provide, value or impact to a customer, you shouldn't in the end, it's healthy for the both to part ways at a certain point in time.
Yeah. Yes. So definitely. So you have to have the right fit, of course, for the customer. But if you keep that focus, I think that it's a strength in having that focus to talk about impact. I think that concept is very strong. And if you can get your team to focus on it, product team, customer success, everyone, I think it's a great concept.
Here's a great thing to look at it. Do your sales professionals that you have on the team, do they know what impact you provide as a company? Because if they don't, they're going to be selling something that later on is not going to be met. So it is really good for customers. Now we have a sentence for that tests that out. So the sentence is, when we ask like a customer success representative, we ask them who has worked with particular clients to say like, hey, finish this sentence as if you are one of our customers. When you originally bought our product and service, you bought it to help you with, and they say, oh, I brought it to help me with hiring new people or managing my pipeline and so on and so forth. I said, however, after using your product our product for 6 months, you find really the value with, oh, I find it has helped me every day in with this, and it's easy to work with. And actually it was easier to help hire people, whatever it is. Those two are impacts.
Mm.
We want to make sure that sales knows about that. And so I'll give you the sentence once more time, and then I'll keep the blanks. When you first bought our product, you bought it to help us with. However, after using us for 6 months, you found that we will already provide you with. Let the customer finish those two. Those are the areas of impact. Feed that back into sales so they can sell on it, and feed it back into marketing so they can start targeting customers that we really want to provide more of that impact.
That's great. That's great. Let's we'll share that as well to everyone. Talking about customer success, and I mean, you have a scientific approach to sales. Can you measure customer success as well? Can you have metrics for that part of the growth machine or the growth model as well?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, the thing that we want to hear, Johan, often what we want to hear quick tidbits. LTV to CAC ratio should be 3. You know, like we want to hear these things that we can measure and instantly say we're successful or not. Obviously, that is very different in vertical markets. It's very different whether you're selling to the medtech world or where you're selling marketing technology or financial services. So what we need to think about is, what are the basic principles of success? Churn, for example, as we say, 2% monthly churn is great. 7% annual churn is fine. It depends. What we are more looking at, can you create and understand what the reason for churn is? So for example, churn because they're a great client, but it took too long to onboard is bad churn. But churn because customer bought the wrong product and this is not what they wanted is fine. That's normal. You know, like you try to keep the momentum in the sales, and so you sold a few of the wrong deals. Okay, it's not the best way, but at least they got churned out. So these are, of course, very good. We can go further in detail. We can say as well, is churning a logo, is that bad? Or is churning a seats bad? Well, I could argue that churning seats is way worse, because when we churn seats, we essentially are churning upsell opportunity. So the metrics here are really always, like however, the underlying nature of the science is exactly the same. Now, here comes a problem again and the solution. The problem is that the historic mindset of revenue creation comes from sales. Sales is very linear. If, I ask you on, if I want to create twice as many, if I need to close twice as many deals, what will be the VP of sales asking the marketing department? CEO says to sales, I need you to double your sales numbers. What will what will sales say to the marketing department?
More leads.
More leads. And so they think of it as very linear. Twice as many outcome needs twice as much input. Sales doesn't work like that, but they think like that. Sales works off an exponential function. Now, if we go to recurring revenue, it works on a compound function. Scientific, the mathematical formula lying underneath it is compound. Compound, obviously, length of the contract is extremely important. Slight increases is extremely important. My first gut reaction to your response, or to your question, is not to say, look for which metrics. It is to calculate how much profit you are making and understand which in your business are the variables. Is it the length of the contract that has a bigger impact? Is it the upsell? Is it the reduction in retention? All these things we need to calculate. What you find is this is a pure spreadsheet function that customer success needs to go to. My advice to customer success leaders that are listening to this, go to your CFO and together sit shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, and work on this spreadsheet. And together understand, where does our profit come from? True growth in a recurring revenue business should not be measured just by the MRR. It should be measured by the profit that is generated. Because MRR, monthly recurring revenue, or ARR, annually recurring revenue, can come at a great cost. It can come at a great cost of the people that are needed and that we are churning. And that is not a good reflection. If we need 200 salespeople to close like $1 million extra in ARR, that may be great, or it may not be great. But like if you're living in an expensive culture and that's $100,000, then you're spending per person, then you're spending 2 million to acquire 1 million, and that would not be advisable in most recurring revenue businesses.
And where do you see, like, where do we go wrong here? Where do people make mistakes, or where when you come into a company, where do you see like the biggest opportunity in recurring revenue? What's
yeah, the biggest one is that there's a maniacal focus inside the company on winning deals, and in sales on reducing churn. That is the first part. Honestly, and this is not meant to be self-serving, but like I would suggest, like folks to go to our YouTube site. We publish all these insights publicly, to share one of our videos that you pick up from there, and to share that throughout the company in order to get a common perspective and then to reset. For me, the most important part following that is to no longer look at the revenue as a form of a funnel, but to look at it from a bow tie perspective and to start establishing the metrics. Once we start establishing the metrics, we can talk data, and data is a universal, like way to communicate with each other without pointing fingers or without making people uncomfortable. So for us, look at the videos, establish the bow tie, figure out which metrics are important to you and how you're going to name them. And based on that, go talk to the CFO, develop the growth model and the profit model. And as the outcome, make sure that the rest of the organization helps you with achieving that.
That's great. I think that's great, and I think it's also to just to make the data transparent for everyone, for all the teams, if you have a leadership team or if you bring in a bigger group. I think that's really a good exercise as well. And where do you see? I know it's a new world, right? We since a year back we are working remotely from wherever we are. And I know you've been looking at that as well, that the sales is changing. What do you think is going to happen in customer success? Is it the same? It's going to be a different world working in customer success going forward as well?
It's this. There's a lot of similarities, but that in the end they were different. So if you look at sales already has been working remote in a variety of ways, but remote being out of the office. Customer success historically was already doing a lot of remote work, but they did it very centralized. The problem for customer success was not that we switched to remote work. The most problem that companies are dealing with is that we became distributed. So people sitting across the desk from each other can no longer share best practice and listen to each other. So because everybody started to spread around, that's one. Second, customer success often is under emotional stress because clients primarily are calling up to tell you something sucks. I think only 1 in 100 will come to tell you like, it was great. Hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm calling you up. It was great, right? The other 99 will call you to tell you it sucks. That's emotionally draining.
Yes.
Well, when you are with colleagues in the same situation, that creates a shared load experience. That means that you can vent to each other and that is needed. Now we are distributed, that no longer is as easily possible. This is the reason why most customer success functions have been fatigued more so than their sales and marketing counterparts.
No, I fully agree. I think it's one of the toughest jobs sometimes to be like a customer success, because you carry the weight of the company in front of the customer. So if there's a bug in the product that you have no control over, you take the hit, right? And it goes for every part of the experience working with your product or your company. So
yeah, if you compare this to either soccer or ice hockey, right? Sales is the strikers, celebrate, like prowess, on the knees, over the field, hands in the air, won the deal, right? Marketing is the middle field, setting the setup. Customer success is the goalkeeper. You only, it's very rare that the goalkeeper stands out, right? And, and then when they do, they really, really do. But most of the times the goalkeeper are just being, hey, they scored on you is the way how you're being measured. Nowadays, obviously, there's even in soccer that is changing and goalkeepers are becoming more heralded. But historically, you know what I'm talking about. And I think that this concept change and can change when we, move it to a profit center and we have the data to prove it.
Awesome. I think that's been super valuable content from you and advice. Where can people who wants to find out more about Winning by Design? Of course, your YouTube channel. We will share that.
Well, I got
Can
an
they reach out
announcement
in
to
any
make.
way?
I got an
Yes.
announcement to make to you. So we at Winning by Design, like what we often do is we sell customized projects. So customers come to us and they spend several $100,000 on us to customize things, customize playbooks, customize training. What we found, however, and as you said, you read the books and you saw the videos, as of July 1st, Winning by Design will make its impact-based methodology available as an open standard. So companies can use it publicly, can use the models, the frameworks. All you need to do is sign up at the website to make sure that, hey, I want this, it's going to go be on our website. You sign up for the license, you can use it. You can use the SPICE model, which is talking about how you get to impact. You can use all the frameworks, the bow tie, the data metrics. Everything will become available. We're making that available in the public domain for people to use, to consume, in order to help this move forward. And we hope that, as you see yourself already, you already saw much of that. And, we believe there's a need to share what we have developed into the public domain.
Awesome. So we'll share the link for that, and people go there, sign up, and get into this great content. So Jacco, thanks a lot for joining this interview webinar. It's been great, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me. For all your listeners, thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. Thank you for having us. See you. Bye-bye.